So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Laurie.
And Alex from Miss Vincent.
And we're going to have some questions to say about the new album, A Funeral for Youth. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
Pretty good. I mean, relieved. I think relief was the biggest feeling when we released it, right, Laurie?
Yeah, for sure.
It was a long time coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be such a vulgar way to start the interview, but when it came out, because Alex and I had known each other for I'm trying to think how long, maybe maybe about 10 years by that point, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And the whole reason we met was to try and form a band and all that, and yeah, we've been doing it for such a long time. So, and we first met in Guildford in 2011, I think. And yeah, when the album came out, I texted him and basically just said to him, I was like, I feel like you started giving me a hand job in Guildford in 2011, and I just came.
I didn't know where you were going with that, and then when all of a sudden it clocked as to why you called it a vulgar way of talking about it. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He genuinely did that on fucking release day.
Literally a minute past midnight. I was there because it was genuinely such like Alex said, it was such a relief to get it out, because it took, even without COVID and everything that happened there, it still took us longer than most bands to get an album out. And then when you add in all the delays and everything from COVID, it took even longer. So it literally, I mean, we probably said the same thing last time we were on with you guys, how there were genuinely times when we were thinking this album may never come out.
Mm-hmm.
So when it finally did, we were obviously just, so excited and happy about it. But there was a huge element of relief and just and almost disbelief that it was finally out as well. But yeah, just but the response has been really, really cool. It's been and it's just been a lot of fun to do all the stuff surrounding it as well.
I mean, when we spoke, you guys had just signed your deal, and we weren't even allowed to talk about an album. It was just the thing that should not be named.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about the two singles off the record. There was not much discussion about the album because we weren't allowed to talk about it. So
yeah.
That's how long, at least just from how long we've known you guys, that's how long it took for it to come out. Just in the time that we've known you guys. So, but congrats, it bangs. I was listening to it again today. It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're proud of it. And I think that was the thing for us, was we've never been a band that just, makes what's popular. We've always, I really struggle talking about this, because it's I don't want to sound like one of those kind of asshole artists that the art comes before all else, because that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to listen to this record. Obviously we do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we didn't want to make an album that we were we kind of jumped on a bandwagon there. Oh, well. We wanted something that 10, 20, 30 years from now, we can listen to and be like, yeah, that was a good place to start.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
I'll take title, you take cover art.
Yeah, because they're very separate things, aren't they?
Yeah. So the title comes from the title track, A Funeral for Youth. And that song was, I think it was pretty much the last track we wrote for the album. We were getting to the point where, we were pretty much there. We were, I think we had recording booked maybe even by that point. And, there was a hole on the album, and I didn't know what shape that hole was. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't want to try and put a square peg in a round hole. And I was like, this needs one more song. And it's kind of eluding me as to what that needs to be. And in the title track and one of the singles, but the title kind of, it came weirdly from this bizarre news article I read a long time ago, well, 3 years ago or something, where somebody had turned 30, and instead of having a 30th birthday party, they literally threw a wake for their youth.
Oh.
And
That's clever.
and yeah, I thought that was hilarious. That's like right up my street, you know, like that speaks to my sense of humor. And so yeah, that kind of stuck with me a little bit. And then, you know, as we were writing the album, in fact, just after we recorded the first bunch of songs, I turned 30. And so it was a kind of a weird, like, I don't know. It was just the right time for me to be writing that song, for the album to be recorded. Like, it's all about growing up, not in the, you know, oh my God, I have exams at school next week and the girl I like won't talk to me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, you know, my youth has escaped me. You know, who am I? What the hell have I done with my life? And what am I going to do with my life? Like, you know, yeah, it runs pretty deep throughout the album. And I was just so glad when I wrote that song, because it kind of just brought it all together in a pretty good way, I think.
Hell yeah.
I think for us as well, like going off that, because of the, you know, like I was saying, I've known Alex for, you know, over 10 years now. And the whole reason we met was to try and form a band and do all this stuff. So you know, no matter what happens with the band from here moving forward, whenever I know that when I look back on this first record and everything we've done with it, it pretty much kind of consumes my 20s, like my late 20s going into my 30s. Like, you know, this album and then a couple records we did, you know, basically the lifespan of Miss Vincent, because I think we started the band when I was 21. Or no, maybe 22, but early 20s, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
how old are you now? And then subtract 10.
I am 32.
So 22.
There you
So
go.
I guess I was 22, yeah. But yeah, so I literally feel like I kind of sacrificed my 20s to Miss Vincent, you know. So I think we all kind of feel like that a bit. Maybe Nate less so, having joined the band later, but you know, anyone in a band, you know, it's you have to put so much time into it to make it happen. And I think for a lot of people, they kind of blink and go, "Oh fuck, I'm 30."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's a really common thing, especially with the way that things have gone the last couple of years. Time just, you know, kind of slipping away from people, but. Yeah, it was just that title was so relevant just to us, and you know, it really reflected all the songs and the themes and everything, but it had that extra level of relevance just because of where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And cover art.
Yeah, cover art.
Oh yeah, cover art.
So I think the initial idea for the cover art, I think I remember talking to Alex outside of his old house about it. I don't know why. I just remember being stood out in the yard talking about it. And because I think it came from while we were writing, we would kind of I just remember talking about movies a lot, whether we were trying to work them in just like movie references in songs or using movie ideas as kind of jumping off points for music videos and all this sort of stuff. And then because we weren't making a concept record, but at the same time, we didn't want the album to just be like, hey, here's some songs, go listen to them. You know, but at the same time, we didn't want to pass it off as a concept record because it isn't. So we were just trying to think of essentially a way to like package the record to make it seem like the whole release and everything around it is more of an event as opposed to just here's some songs that we made. So and you know, I fucking love going to the cinema. Every time I go to the cinema, it always still feels like a thing. It's still like
Laurie has every single cinema ticket he's ever bought. Still.
That's so
Going
They
cool.
back
still
to,
do
like,
physical
fucking-
tickets in the UK?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, not
We
always.
still do it here.
Sometimes I go to the cinema and it'll just be like an email and they'll scan it and they're like, yeah, in you go. And I'm like, fuck, because I want the ticket. But I've literally got tickets from, I mean, some of the films are dog shit. Like I've got tickets from when I saw Kangaroo Jack.
Cheaper by the dozen 2 was one.
Yeah,
you
They
pulled
made a
out of your
second
little
one?
bag the other day.
Yeah, like just terrible
Ooh.
stuff. But then I've also got tickets from when I saw like some big movies as well. For I don't know, stuff like Inception and some of the Saw movies. And I mean, obviously I didn't see it when it came out, but like because it's my favorite movie, I've been to see Shawshank Redemption at the cinema and just stuff like that. But yeah, like we just that's where the whole theater idea came from, was just sort of trying to find partly just using the movie references and trying to bring them all together in that way, but also just finding a way to make the record seem like an event in and of itself, as opposed to just a bunch of songs,
Mhm.
And I think the artwork went through a whole bunch of different kind of iterations in terms, like including the front cover, back cover, inside, and all this stuff. We had to, I think some of the ideas we had to dial back a little bit just because of like budget and like logistics and stuff like that. But the artist who did the album cover is a guy called Mark DeSalvo, who has done loads of amazing artwork for like huge punk bands, like bands like NoFX, No Use for a Name, Lagwagon,
like so many SoCal punk bands, and he's he's like a celebrity even though you don't know his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, it was the Bomb Pops, wasn't it? It was the Bomb Pops record. That was what kind of made us go, okay, that's like, in terms of the tone and the style and everything, we were like, that's really cool. Who did that? And then when we found out like it was Mark and we looked him up, we realized how much work he'd done for some huge bands. Like some, like legacy punk bands essentially. So we sent the initial idea to him, and his initial response was he almost tried to persuade us not to work with him, because he was just like, don't you just want to get a photographer to do this? Like, because originally we wanted some stuff from like inside the theater, like the lobby and the auditorium and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, well, why don't you guys just go and do a photo shoot like in a theater or in a lobby or something like that. But obviously at the time, even if we'd wanted to, stuff like that was kind of difficult because of COVID, because like we couldn't get together and see each other or anything like that. So but we really kind of pushed hard to get Mark to, at the very least, we were like, we want you to do the cover. And then we were thinking that we'd just take some photos and do some other stuff for the back cover and the insides. But then as COVID continued to stay super shit and fuck everything up, it just became more apparent that we needed more artwork to go inside, that we weren't going to be able to create ourselves through getting photos done or anything. So we managed to persuade Mark to do the back cover, and he painted the portrait to go inside it, which I'm gonna see if I can. It's on my wall right here, so I'm gonna see if I can get it down without breaking it.
Okay.
Please don't break it.
Laurie made a side deal with Mark in exchange for a pre-order bundle. Mark sent Laurie the painting from the inside cover.
Oh, it's gonna go blurry.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait. Okay. Kind of. Oh.
Hold it up further. Hold it in front of your face.
Well, we can see the faces.
Yeah, we can see the people.
We can kind of see it.
I get it. I get it.
I get it.
This is really great for all the audio platforms. Yeah, don't shit to a camera.
Yeah, just people going, I can't see it. I can't see it. I was going to try and turn off the blur real quick, but let me do that real quick just so we can see, because it is cool. There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
That's very
I love
cool.
that.
So that's
very
wow.
cool.
That's really good.
And I love that you made a side deal to get it, so that you could be the one that has the artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Mark's suggestion, because I think we were just posting about
send it to Miss Vincent, not to send it to you.
That's a practice space, dude. Come the fuck on.
Yeah.
That's a technicality. I mean, he did message me about it, because I shared, I shared like one of the pre-order links or something like that, and Mark just replied and was like, "Can I get a record and a T-shirt and blah 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 blah?" And because originally he was just going to cover the postage and whatever, and that was going to be fine. And then he was like, actually, I'll tell you what, I'll send you the portrait, you send me a record. And I was just like, yes, yeah, like immediately just replying like, yes, definitely, deal. You can't take it back now. So now I have that, and it's like one of the coolest things I own. So
hell yeah.
Really cool.
But yeah, the theater idea was basically just to try and encompass everything all together, and we just wanted the release to seem like an event, like like you would go. I mean, and as we were releasing the singles, we had the kind of movie poster inspired artwork. So it's kind of like when you're in a theater or a cinema or whatever, you've got like all the movie posters or all the show posters or whatever up on the wall. So it's kind of like this physical place that you go where all the songs live, if you see what I mean. But it's kind of, it was somewhere between being a concept record and just being a bunch of songs. We kind of wanted to just do something that wasn't just an album.
Yeah, that makes sense. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, I mean, it was long. It was very long. So we did, like, speaking to other people in bands about how they write is quite a strange experience for us, because we've always done things exactly the same way. So the way that it starts is I will just expel a song into a very kind of rough and ready demo with like, software drums and bad playing in the guitar parts, and I'll just kind of get it out my system. And then I'll send it to Laurie and go, here's something. And Laurie has like, we kind of bounce off each other pretty well in that regard, because Laurie's much more kind of detail oriented, and he enjoys sitting there and playing guitar parts over and over again until they're correct, whereas I'm like, I mean, fuck it, it's pretty much there, like, who cares, it's only a demo. And so he'll kind of spend a little more time on the kind of arrangement, and then he'll send me back a demo of my demo and be like, I think this is what you meant. And more often than not, I'll be like, yeah, that is exactly what I meant. Thanks for kind of sorting that out and pulling it into shape. And from there, we'll normally, get in a practice room with Owen and Nate, our bass player and drummer, and things will change. We'll develop parts, and then we'll kind of holistically look at the song and the structure and the melodies and the chorus and the harmonies and all that kind of shit. And after a while, there will be a song, and that's kind of that. I mean, for some of the songs on this record, it was different because some of them were written during COVID. So Gravity, the first song on the album, and Go It Alone, the first song on side B, it is the first song on side B, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Anyway, neither of those were played in a practice room before going into the studio, because we literally weren't allowed to see each other because we were all in fucking lockdown. So with those, we literally demoed them, had a few conversations about roughly what we were going to do, and then went straight into the studio and recorded them, which was a weird experience for us, because in the past we've always managed to at least play them a few times before committing them to record, I mean, it was a long experience, because some of these songs, like Heresy, for example, took 5 iterations. Like Doctors in Churches used to be a totally different song, and we kind of nicked parts from it for another song. And same with My Iron Heart, like that one was 2 different songs that we basically took one bit, the good bit of one and the good bit of the other, and went, now it's a song. So it was a long ass process.
Sure.
But like, you were saying about not being able to get in the studio and, well, in the practice room, which I think at the time when we were recording them, I remember feeling really not uncertain of the songs, but it was just weird, because I think if a song doesn't work live, then it's it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? It's one thing to put a demo together and be like,
For
oh,
us,
this sounds
yeah.
really, yeah, for us. If we put a demo together and we're like, yeah, that sounds cool. If we get in the room together and we play it, if something isn't there, even if you feel like it's there on the demo, but for some reason it's not there, and you know, when you're playing it in a room together, then it's like, well, this isn't done because something is missing, because this it just doesn't really hit when we're playing it together. So not being able to do that made doing Gravity and Go It Alone both a little bit more I don't know, I think I was just a bit more worried about them than with other songs, just because we basically didn't have that trial run where we're like, yep, the song's done, because normally they'd almost be ready for us to play live because of the fact that we've played them together in a room. Whereas when we were doing those, there's so many vocals on those tracks and so many guitar parts and like just lots of layers and everything. There was a lot of like, who's singing this vocal, who's doing this bit, like how does this bit go, and like having to listen to the demo and that kind of thing. So it definitely I mean, luckily I think they don't, I don't think those two songs stick out of the record for that reason, but it definitely made for a different experience when we were recording those, just because of fucking COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I want you two to tell us your favorite lyric off this album and the meaning behind it.
Any lyric?
Any lyric.
Oh, there are so many. There are so many lyrics on this album.
Yeah.
The album's long. Yeah.
A lot of them.
I feel like it's probably going to be harder for Alex to choose because they're his lyrics. So
yeah. I mean, dude, I could write a book on that. Like,
you know, should.
Every lyric's got meaning and stuff, you know. Yeah, choosing one's difficult. Laurie, you go first, just because you know I am you're more likely to have a favorite than me.
Yeah, I am thinking.
Man, that is tough.
Got a real stumper for you guys.
Okay, I'm gonna go with after you.
Whoa.
No, you if you got one, then go for Alex.
Okay, I'm gonna go with one from Go It Alone. And it's all these people sing the same songs these days, and I don't know where I fit in, because you know we were just talking about Go It Alone, and like that lyric, that song in particular, like I was a little bit more upfront about, you know, things that I probably wouldn't normally say, you know. But if you put it in a song, then all of a sudden, you know, no one's gonna come back at you, really. Because, you know, as we've discussed, the process of writing was long enough. And then, you know, like when we spoke to you guys, it was obviously just after COVID hit. And already then we felt like the album should be out. Because, you know, there was a process in between writing and recording the initial batch of songs and then speaking to you guys, where, you know, we spoke to some labels and some people and this and that, and some of those conversations kind of didn't really sit well with me, you know. I'm not, I mean, I wish I could go into them, but I just don't want to be that guy, you know.
Yeah.
We're all good.
But like some people, well, yeah, people, I suppose, because every label is run by people, but there were some people from labels that have released some of my favorite records of all time and still have some of my favorite bands on them, where I was just like, you know, their response was just gutting to me, you know, because essentially it was kind of going against a lot of the values, and this is where I sound like a total asshole, but it was going against a lot of the values that we've grown up with listening to rock and roll music. And so when I wrote Go It Alone, I was like, do you know what? I'm like, I think I can just have a few little digs here, because like I'm not okay with some of this shit. And, you know, like for me, rock and roll is and punk rock in particular, because you know we've grown up in punk rock bands in the kind of underground punk rock scene, for want of a better word. It's about like self-expression, and it's about, you know, a bunch of people in a sweaty room, and it's about group exorcism, and it's about, you know, playing instruments. You know, it's about a drummer kicking the shit out of the drums, and a singer, you know, really fucking going for it, and the crowd like being all being in the moment together. And for me personally, and this is nothing against anybody else that makes music that doesn't do it this way, but for me, you don't get that same level of connection when 90% of the show is basically played off a fucking iPod. You know, you just it seems a little more sterile, you know. And so that was kind of where that lyric came from. It was just like, I still, you know, I don't want to be like, I still believe in rock and roll, but it was almost like, I still think that people playing music together, playing actual instruments in a room full of other people that are watching them play those instruments and enjoying it, has some value. And from what we'd heard, that wasn't necessarily the case for some people. And I was just like, what the fuck? Where the hell do I fit into all this shit? Because, you know, I want to make music with my friends, but I want all of those friends playing an instrument, and then I want to go and play it as we have recorded it in a room full of people. Anyway, I mean, that was a very long-winded explanation.
I'm stunned that's a hot take.
Yeah.
Is it though? I mean, like, I think it feels like a hot take, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All I'm saying is, like, I enjoy it when people play instruments, and I like rock and roll. Like,
hot take. Watch out. Oof, I know not everybody agrees.
I think, like, publicly, if you tweeted something like that, being like, "Hey, I like it when bands are actually bands," no one would be like, "Fuck this guy, what's he talking about?" Everyone would know exactly what you mean. But it makes it sound fucking, like, basically makes it sound jaded and old to say this shit. But it's like Alex was saying about some of the labels we spoke to. It's you know, you present something to someone where it's like, hey, this is something we spent loads of time on, and we really care about it, and it's real, and it's genuine, and it's ours. What do you think? And it would
fit perfectly on your label, because you have bands that have
because look at what this, like, look at the legacy of this label. Like, wouldn't this be perfect? And obviously, you know, that's not us saying we believe like we're entitled to it, or that we expect to get it, but it's kind of like, in our minds, it's like that, you know, this record could go, it could be released on this label. And then the response you get is like, oh yeah, but how's your Instagram engagement? And do you know what I mean? And you get into all that kind of behind the curtain, basically, for lack of a better term, all the kind of corporate bullshit, or the business side of it, where the reality is, it's like, you know, on the outside, whoever it is, whether it's a band or a label or any kind of organization, they might look punk as fuck, but like, someone somewhere is having to crunch numbers, and the reality of it is that it is a business. And that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to say this, but I am going to say it now, because I just want to get it off my chest. We spoke to a very, very large US label who are a behemoth in the rock music world. And they said to our manager, yeah, we like the music, we think it's great, but we don't really sign bands anymore. We sign influencers that make music.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. Just influencers that make music.
Yeah. So
go start TikTok, like, dancing. Renegade.
No.
Yeah, so it's not like they don't fucking care. Like, have you ever even played a show? Maybe not. Like, have you actually even got a live band at the moment? Maybe not. Like, but have you got 300,000 Instagram followers? Yeah, you do.
We'll sign you.
Someone's going to write you some songs, and you're going to sing them. There you go.
And all those numbers are so trivial, because it's like, yeah, you might have 1 million monthly listeners, or you might have 300,000 Instagram followers, but those don't equal fans or ticket sales or album sales or anything. That's just people that stumbled across you on a playlist or on like Instagram featured or whatever the fuck and decided to follow you, and then they forgot you existed. So all of that is so fucking stupid. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But
the internet's not real.
yeah,
The internet. This is where this is where, you know, we kind of ended up being like, well, where the hell do we fit into this? Because, you know, going to rock shows is what we did growing up, and it's what we still like to do, and that's why we make music. You know, is to connect with other people that like doing that, and the people that make that happen for bands don't seem to be interested in that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously there are still people that are interested in that, like Silent Cult, who we work with, our label. They are in it for the right reasons. They are wonderful people. They've worked so hard for us. We've loved working with them, and I'm so glad that we did sign with them. But it's just weird as a musician to be like talking to a label and they don't want to talk about your music. Like, anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
I realize I'm sounding like an old jaded asshole, but you know what?
Yeah.
Like,
but
who gives a fuck?
it's that's the unfortunate reality of the music business, is that it is a business, and you know that shit's got to be taken into consideration by someone, and it means that, you know, when you do get even like a brief little peek behind the curtain at like a, you know, a label or a band or an organization or whatever, sometimes you get a peek and you kind of go, oh, that's cool, that's exactly how I thought it would be. Like, you might meet someone in a band or whatever, and they're exactly like you think they are, and then on the other hand, you meet someone in a band or talk to a label or whatever, and they say or do something, and you're just like, that's fucking depressing. Because it's, you know, what Alex just said about the influencers or anything like that, and it's just like, fuck, the sort of mental image I had of this thing is just ruined forever.
Yeah.
Well, that gave you plenty of time to think about your favorite lyric, Lori.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
What a ridiculous
Sorry,
conversation.
we just fucking talk, dude.
It's all good. We got all the time in the world today, man.
That was a ridiculous conversation. So what's your favorite lyric? Fuck the music business.
I love it, though. I love it.
Punk rock, right?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I really like the very last lyric on the whole record, which is, if I could sleep, I'd dream of you. Because it's just, I can't say, I mean, obviously I don't know what Alex was thinking when he wrote it, but I think it's a relatively self-explanatory line. And it's kind of cheesy and lame, and it's just another thing that makes me sound old, but it reminded me of all the lyrics that people would like post on their fucking MySpace pages or MSN profiles, and like just stuff like that, like back in the day. Like, honestly, I don't even know if you guys are old enough to remember MSN Messenger.
I know what it is because of The Office, but other than that, I've never been on it. Never been on it.
No, like today you would like make that like you're 13 years old and you just got your Discord account, and like that would be like your status for the day. It's like that lyric.
Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah. And it just,
thanks for translating that into modern speech.
Yeah, thank you, Shane.
Anytime.
But yeah, that's what it reminded me of. It was such like a like I said, the lyric kind of speaks for itself, and but there's still, like, you know, you can interpret it different ways, but it just reminded me of when I was you know, a teenager growing up, and just like really getting into not just getting into bands in terms of liking them, but just, you know, I'm sure it happened at a different age for everyone, but you know, when you first did a deep dive on a band, when you start looking up like all their lyrics, and you want to know every word to every song, and you want to know who the band members are, and you want to know who made the record, and all this kind of stuff. Just everything like that. It reminded me of loads of those bands that I listened to as a teenager, where it was just like, you just latch onto these lyrics, and you almost just want to hold these lyrics up and like show them to people. And even though it's not your band and it's not your lyric, you weirdly want to fucking, you know, it's like you want to wear it on a t-shirt or something, because it's, you know, you just identify with it, and it just reminded me of all those kind of things from when I was a teenager. So and it's I think it's a really nice way to finish the record as well. So I'd probably given not much time to think about it, I would say that one.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So how'd the track list
Also,
for the
fuck
album?
the music industry. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that is one. That is one.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener, be the opener, closer, be a closer? Did you guys shuffle around, see what fits? What was that process like?
So we changed that, didn't we?
Yeah, although I mean, I do feel like we did, but I feel like because where we had like, you know, different batches of songs written at different times, I feel like each time we had a new batch of songs, it wasn't immediately obvious where they should go, but it was, I think once we had what we felt was the right answer, it then seemed obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we kind of shuffle them around and go, what about this? What about this? And then eventually they would just click and it would be like, well, that's kind of it now.
Mm-hmm.
And once we had the first maybe like 10 or 11 songs, we had a track listing for them. And obviously it got shuffled around once we added the extra ones that got written later on. But even once we wrote those, I think it was still, they kind of slotted into very obvious places.
Yeah, for sure. And we really tried to think about how the record would be listened to in the medium that we would listen to it, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I love listening to records because it's literally a physical experience. You have to take it out of the sleeve, put it on the turntable, drop the needle, go and sit down, listen to the first side, get up, flip it over, and then start the whole process again.
Yeah.
So like for us, it was very much like we were literally thinking like, okay, what's going to start side A? What's going to finish side A? What's going to go in between? You know, what kind of, you know, not journey, because like, you know, it's not a concept album, but like, you know, what sort of experience would we want to have listening to this record? And Shiver, for example, was always the closer. Like that never changed. But the first batch of songs we had, My Iron Heart was going to be the album opener.
Wow. And
then when we wrote Gravity, we were like, right, okay, that's sort of the album opener now.
Yeah,
and it literally got to the point where we put like record scratches on the start of Gravity, because we were like, I don't care if you're listening to this on Spotify. I want to mimic the environment of you listening to this on a record, because that's how, you know, that's how we really want this to be listened to. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a hell of a conversation, wasn't it? We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, but like I said, I think there was so much chopping and changing, but I think it was just a case of, you know, putting them in the right order, because once they got, you know, once they were where they are now, it was kind of like, well, that's it. There wasn't really, it got to a point where the conversation just stopped, because it's like, well, that's the track listing.
All right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So could you guys tell us where Headspace is at while you were creating this record?
Oh, I mean I think that's difficult, because obviously it took us so fucking long to make this record. So it's like, you know, where were our heads at for 3 years? I mean, I've literally, like, I've got a video on my phone of me and Owen and Nate recording the very last bit of the record, which is just like some hand claps. And then when we finish recording it, Owen is just like 2018 to 2021, because that's when we, like, you know, when we started and finished recording. And obviously we were writing for, I don't know,
a year before that.
Yeah.
So we recorded the first batch of songs in 2018, right? And our last EP came out in 2017. So when we were writing and recording in 2018, we thought it was going to be out end of 2018, maybe 2019. Now that got delayed for, you know, a number of reasons. First of all, you know, all the label stuff that we've spoken about. We also had like some tours that came up. So we were like, okay, let's put out a single, do this tour, and then figure out the album. Because, you know, for a band like us, and, you know, I suppose for any band of our size, or the size that, you know, wherever we were in 2018, a couple of tours can build a lot of momentum. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't want to just be like, hey, here's the album in late 2018 when we knew that 2019 had X, Y, and Z happening, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the headspace writing it, I think, was definitely very different from the headspace releasing it in so many ways, you know, like when I wrote the vast majority of these songs, I was living, in fact, I was living about 20 feet that way. So I'm sitting in my office right now, which is very near London. And I used to live basically attached to my office because my office is on a farm. I used to live in some other buildings on that farm, right? And now I live 200 miles away with my girlfriend. So, you know, and that's where I was living when the album was released. So my headspace and my physical situation writing the songs was so markedly different because, you know, like Laurie was talking about the end of Shiver with If I Could Sleep, I'd Dream of You. I was like, what, man, I don't fucking want to be here. You know, the only person I want to be with is 200 miles away. Like, and it's bothering me. I can't fucking sleep, man. Like it's killing me. You're killing me over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then when it was released, like, you know, the night that it was released, I just went upstairs and went to sleep in my house with my girlfriend.
Aww.
Like the you know, the one person that wasn't there when I was writing it. You know what I mean? So there was so many different headspaces for every song, for kind of writing and then recording and then releasing. Like it was a trip, honestly. Yeah.
That's
If you ever want to, you know, not be stressed, just don't release an album. You know,
just don't get a band,
avoid
bro.
it.
Pick something else.
Yeah, just, you know. Yeah. Start a YouTube channel. Apparently, they're really popular.
I mean, and then you might get signed to a major label.
There you go.
Exactly. There you go. And then you can write an album or have an album written for you. Man.
Perfect.
Either or.
There we go. So how do you recommend your fans listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends in the dark with headphones on? Is it a party album, a workout album? What do you guys personally recommend?
I know exactly how you should listen to this album.
I think that's a hard question because, like, I know you were just saying about how
it is not a hard question for me.
I know you're going to say about how it should be spun on vinyl and everything like that, but like
even more than that. Like, okay, here's how you should listen to this record. You need to sit down, not necessarily in the dark. We're not talking like pitch black. You know, this isn't like a Phoebe Bridgers record. You know what I mean? Okay. Or, you know, an Alkaline Trio record that's, you know, needs to be listened to on your own in the dark. You need to sit down in a nicely lit environment. Maybe you've lit some candles or something. Okay. You need to get your drink of choice, whether it's, you know, a cup of tea, a glass of wine, a beer, a whiskey, whatever. Just get your drink of choice, put it on the table next to you, light the candles, go over to your record player, pull it out the sleeve, put it down, and turn your fucking phone onto airplane mode.
Okay.
And just think about where you are in your life. And there you go. That's how I want people to listen to this record.
It's a very deep listening experience.
I
mean, like I say, it's not a Phoebe Bridgers record. It's not a Bright Eyes record, but there's, you know, listen to it hard.
Alternatively, if you're not a person who buys records and is going to sit and listen to vinyl, then just get in the car and drive somewhere and crank it. I'd say that's the other one because I still listen to this record, you know, as like I would listen to other records I like. You know, I put it on because I like it. And it's definitely, I think it's definitely a driving record. There's so many like stompy songs, and I definitely think it's a driving record for sure. And it's kind of, I mean, it's not that long, but what's it, like 40 minutes, I think.
It's 44 minutes and 15 seconds because we could only just about fit it on a 12-inch vinyl.
Yes. That's right.
So it's a perfect for like a morning commute to work.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a long
I have a
commute.
question for you guys. What's your preferred way? Like, if you have a record that you absolutely fucking love, when an album gets released and you're like, I love that record and I'm going to make time to listen to it. What do you do? Do you like put headphones on and sit in the dark, or do you get in your car and go for a drive, or do you like get on a bus and just be like, I don't give a fuck where it's going because I'm going to listen to this record? Like, what's your go-to?
I'm sure yours is a lot more simple, Shane. You can.
Okay, so I've tried the in the dark thing and I got scared, so I don't do that anymore.
Of the dark?
I tried to listen to
Hey, it depends what you're listening to.
I tried to listen to the newest Water Parks album in the dark because the front man Austin Knight was like, bro, you gotta listen to this in the dark because like, and I was like, no, I'm too scared, and I turned my lights back on, so that doesn't work. Usually, because I listen to it the second it comes out, I sin and I'll listen to it on my phone speakers, like for the first listen, and I know that that's like a sin for on the phone speakers because I'm laying in bed, my computer's downstairs. I'm just trying to be comfortable. And then I'll either listen to it on my better computer speakers in the morning, or if I have to go to work that morning, I'll listen to it on my drive to work and really, take it in. But I don't want to wait to listen to it. So I'll just first listen is usually on the phone speakers. Unless we get it early, then it's in the car or at my computer.
I'm personally offended over the phone speaker thing. I thought you had like headphones or
Glory
earbuds.
did not like that.
No, because then I'll just scare myself because I can't hear anything going on outside of the music. Imagine
it's like
me
12
sitting,
a.m. What would be happening?
Scary. What if the boogeyman comes and gets me?
Oh my god.
So that's why, like, imagine like some artist was like, listen to it in the dark and put the headphones on. I'll shit my pants. I can't do that.
God. You're too paranoid, man. Nothing's gonna happen. Just put on headphones.
It's the anxiety. What can I say?
Oh my god. For me, it depends on the artist. Like for Tyler the Creator's newest album, which I was really looking forward to. It's very good. I listened to it with my dad on some really good speakers because he also likes Tyler the Creator. But for Water Parks, I did listen to it in the dark
and didn't get scared.
Good headphones. No, I didn't.
Wow.
But then I also like to sometimes I just wait for my vinyl to come in, which is very tempting. But to just listen to it online instead of the vinyl. But like I feel like the first official listen is usually vinyl sometimes.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your heads, I want you guys to describe this album for your listeners in 3 words. No more, no less. Both of you have to do it.
Is rock and roll 1 word or 3 words?
I would say it's 3.
Ah, damn it. Okay, not that then.
We can hyphen it for you.
If you want,
yeah,
we can make
like
it 1 word.
Apostrophes in it, so it's like, is it 1 word? Is it 3 words? I don't know. 3 words.
Oh, can I steal someone else's description of it? Someone tweeted about the record the other day, and it was I genuinely think it was the most like accurate description of our album so far. I need to find it real quick. Okay, it's not 3 words. It's totally a cop out, but so they described it as somber rock for grown-up emo kids.
Oh,
that's spot on.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, this guy gets it.
All right.
Yeah.
So okay, so
yeah,
maybe
man.
I mean, no, if I had to give my own answer, I would say like melancholy romantic punk.
Oh,
okay.
I like that.
I guess
That's good. Let's go with that.
Because you got the vintage vibes and some of the more kind of like slow romantic parts, but at the same time, it's like we're still a punk band. Like you can still hear the influence of like Ramones and Trio and Green Day and just like those 4-chord punk bands. Like that's still clearly there. We just got all the other stuff kind of sprinkled into.
Yeah, I describe it as songs I wrote.
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
And only you can describe it that way.
Mm-hmm.
We can all describe it that way, but you know, the words are mostly mine.
Fair enough. So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I would say positivity, personally.
I would say, like, what's the word for like positivity or wait, I've frozen. Can you guys still hear me?
We can hear you.
We could hear you,
Okay,
but you
cool.
are frozen.
Yeah, okay, cool. I would say whatever the word is that describes positivity in the face of adversity or in the face of growing up, or you know, like
Defiance.
the kind of defiance. Defiance is a good word. There we go. That's what I want people to feel.
Perfect.
That a lot. Great answers. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this album?
Ooh.
For me, it was when we did the Melanie video, because that was the first song that we released, because we had a tour with Creeper kind of come out of nowhere, and we were like, shit, we should really release a song like to go along with that tour. And Melanie was the song that was definitely I think that one had probably been written the longest out of them, maybe. Or I feel like it was the most well developed.
Yeah.
And it was one that we knew we'd be able to play live, just because it's relatively simple compared to some of the others. So that's why we were like, okay, let's get this out. So we needed to make a video and everything, and just shooting that video, and even like it all kind of tied up really, really well, because we were still working on the record, and like mixing, it was being mixed and stuff like that when we shot the video. So we were getting mixes sent across, and we were getting emails from the artist, Jared Gaines, who did the artwork, which is also hanging up over there.
Wow, you got all of it.
Laurie's a fucking hustler, mate.
Come on.
Laurie's a fucking hustler.
Let me see if this one blows or not.
Okay.
Nah, honestly. Another great one for the Spotify listeners.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, cool.
That's really pretty.
Yeah. So but so we were getting emails from Jared, who did that while we were making the video, and we shot the video on the Isle of Wight over the course of a weekend, and it was just like perfect weather, and it was just so much fun. We stayed in these this it's not a caravan, it's an Airstream, isn't it?
Airstream,
yeah. We stayed in these like vintage Airstreams, which is where we actually we stayed where we were shooting the video, in these vintage Airstreams, and it was just the most fun, and it just really felt like we were kind of engulfed with everything we were doing, because we were still making the album and getting the mixes sent across and sorting out the artwork while we were making the video. And so it was, really a kind of, it was an all-consuming time, but in a positive way. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of surrounded by all this stuff that we wanted to be working on. And then obviously, when we released it, we then had those shows with Creeper, which were great. So yeah, whenever I think about making the album, even though it was such a long process, that's always kind of a big sort of go-to for me. It's just when we did the initial batch of songs, and then when we did the video for Melanie.
Oh yeah.
The Isle of Wight, by the way, is a weird little island off the south coast of England, right? So you have to take a ferry to get there. And when you get off the ferry, it's like you've gone back 15 years. Like things don't reach the Isle of Wight that quick. It's
but the whole island is really, you could drive across the whole thing in like 40 minutes.
Okay.
That's so cool.
So it's really, really small. But
yeah, it's tiny.
It's weirdly kind of like dated. When you see those like old school British seaside photos, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say my single favorite memory from recording the album was when we were doing Gravity, which is the first song on the album, and we were discussing kind of the overall vibe of the record, and we really wanted it to sound like people playing instruments. So for the guitars, Daly, the producer, who is like, I would say he's the fifth member of Miss Vincent, but he's almost like the first member of Miss Vincent, because he's literally recorded every single EP and the album. Like he's done everything with us. He set up heads and cabs in the live room of the ranch in Southampton, where we recorded, and Laurie and I went into the live room and, you know, picked up our guitars, plugged them into these amps, and like we had to wear headphones, obviously, to hear the rest of the track, but also we had to wear headphones because it was so fucking loud that if you took them off, your eardrums would burst. Because like we were using valve amps and they were cranked. So like the ranch is as the name suggests, it's on a farm. So you can turn that shit up and nobody's gonna care. You can go like, blow past the soundproofing on the studio and no one gives a shit. And it's right next to a motorway. So like 2 minutes away, all you can hear is the motorway. You still can't hear the guitars. So we had these things cooking, and Daly just said, like, play the song. Like, you don't have to play it perfectly, just play the song. And even through the headphones, like you could hear, like every time, you know, you changed a chord, you could hear like the tiny little squeak on the strings, or like if you held the chord, like 2 seconds later, you'd just be hit by this wall of feedback. And like, you know, I honestly, I felt like fucking Thanos, man.
That's
I felt
so cool.
like, you know, I could just click my fingers and the world would end. It was like the sound was so powerful that I was just like blown away by the sound of our guitars. And like, I just remember looking at Laura and we were like little kids playing in the mud when you're 5. We were just fucking in heaven. And
That's
it was
great.
amazing.
I
And
love it.
I don't think I've ever been that happy.
We need to, I know we've used a little bit of the video footage from it, but at some point we should literally just put out like a 30-second video, which is just us, just some of that raw footage of us just playing Gravity, because that'd be fun. I just want to see that, because it was so much fun. So I'd love to see some of that footage again, but actually hear it, you know, because I know, like I said, we've used some of that footage, but not with the sound. So I'd love to just actually see
the audio is totally unusable.
Oh my god.
The videographer actually needed a new microphone after that, but
yeah, he also needed 2 new eardrums. So,
That's
so picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
oh,
If they've got a KFC, I'd be getting the vegan burger from KFC.
All right.
Do they do that do you guys have that in the States?
They have Beyond like chicken nuggets now.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous we don't
okay.
have the burger yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably, if they had a KFC, I'd go for the vegan burger, because they're fucking great.
All right. Solid.
for me, it would probably be, so we went on tour in Germany just before the pandemic. Like literally, our last show got cancelled because of COVID.
No.
And my most prevalent food memory from being on tour in Germany is basically going to McDonald's and having the Big Vegan, which is like a Big Mac, but vegan. And at the time, you couldn't get that shit anywhere but Germany, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we try not to eat fast food too much on tour. Obviously, it's kind of hard because you're eating at like 2 a.m.
Mhm.
But I just remember eating fuckloads of Big Vegans, and it was amazing.
I'm very jealous.
To be honest, dude, if we went on tour in the States, I mean, I wouldn't be able to choose. Like your gas stations are I mean, literally like a candy store to me. I love American candy. I love the drinks. I love the fucking coffees that you guys have. You know, when you go into like the gas stations on the freeway, and they're like, oh yeah, we've got 17 different variations of coffee, and they're all just here for you. I mean,
and they're all 99 cents, every single size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. You can just have like, you know, 7 liters of coffee and it's 99 cents. It's great. I mean, yeah. But sadly, we've never been on tour in America yet.
Oh.
Hopefully one of these days.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm very jealous that you guys have, at least like even just on that side of the world, you guys have vegan McDonald's, because over here that's the one thing that we're lacking in the fast food department is no vegan
Really?
McDonald's.
Is it Burger King that we have?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. We do at the time when we toured Germany, they had what they called the Big Vegan, but we didn't have that in the UK yet. And now we've got the McPlant, which I'm pretty sure is different because I remember the Big Vegan being better than the McPlant, and I feel like they're different.
I haven't had the McPlant yet.
Yeah, it's fine. Like if you know, if I was hungry and there was nothing but McDonald's, I would get one. I'm not really going to go out of my way to go and buy one because they're just whatever. It's fine. It's, you know, as a vegan burger, it's okay. As a vegan option from McDonald's, it's really good.
Fair enough.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, like it's definitely since the last time we properly toured, it's definitely gotten way easier to eat at service stations now because KFC do vegan food, Burger King do vegan food, and McDonald's do vegan food, which is
Subway, obviously, because they've got like the meatless marinara and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Whereas like I'm not vegan anymore, but I was vegan for a couple of years, and I remember there was a time where like we'd walk into a service station and I'd be like, cool, I can get crisps and water, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because it was either that or it was just fucking chips everywhere. Yeah. Like I'd go to McDonald's and get chips, or go to Burger King and get chips. Like that's all, all you could get. Whereas now, like I said, it's kind of mad how many options there actually are now.
Yeah.
You guys have good vegan options from a lot of fast food places, though, right? Like I watch a lot of American football, and because of that, obviously, I see your adverts. Now, first of all, American adverts are so much better than British adverts too. You guys go fucking ham on that shit. Yeah. Like you go absolutely nuts on adverts. And so if I see one more advert for the plant-based chorizo in Chipotle, I'm gonna fucking screw, because like it's on every single ad break. But it seems like you guys are all over that now, right?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better over the past couple of years, but it's like still some of the big chains like McDonald's and Wendy's haven't adopted it yet, so it's like a little annoying. Right. And like a Chipotle, there's not one on every corner. Same with like a Salad Works, there's not one on every corner. Or even like Subway, there's, the closest one to me is like 20 miles away, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I'm on the Jersey Shore, so like the big thing around here is Jersey Mike's. So which is... Oh,
fucking hell. I would love to eat at Jersey Mike's, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. we had this conversation last time, didn't we? You basically live in like my dream state, right?
Probably, yeah. You got to come over to New Jersey, man. We got a little bit of everything over here.
I fucking love New Jersey, man. Oh, honestly.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
So on the topic of food, if the band could be a dish, what dish would the band be?
Oh, don't you wish Owen was here to answer that question?
Yeah, our bass player is a chef.
Oh.
And he fucking talks about it every chance he gets, and chances that he doesn't get. Like if you're having a conversation, he will just turn around the conversation to the fact that he's a chef.
I love that.
Like,
love that for
because
him.
that's just what he does. If Miss Vincent were a dish, I would say that Miss Vincent is this is remarkably specific, but Miss Vincent is a true pizza. Now, True Pizza is a small chain. It has like fucking 3 stores, right? Okay. But it is only in like 3 cities in the UK, but it serves like proper New York pizza. And they've recently started doing a New Jersey pizza, which is weird because it like, I like you guys have so many different types of pizza that it's absolutely fucking like inconceivable to us. Well,
I think that's kind of a scam, because I don't think New Jersey is not known for its pizza.
No, New Jersey is right next to New York, so we just steal New York's ideas.
Exactly, it's just New York.
But apparently apparently New Jersey pizza is like, it has a higher ratio of tomato sauce to cheese, and it's cooked at apparently it's cooked at a higher temperature, and because of that, often the top can appear slightly burnt, and apparently it creates this like, apparently they use like more sugar in the tomato sauce or something, so that it like crystallizes on the top and looks slightly burnt, but it's not. And
Shane,
apparently that's New
this?
Jersey pizza.
I'm also vegan, so like cheese isn't a like. I go in, I'm like, all right, I'll take tomato sauce and olives, thanks. And they're like, that's gross.
God.
So no, I've never heard of it though, but that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So,
but I would say it's a true pizza because they're in the UK, right? But they make something that is quintessentially American.
That's definitely American. Yes, I don't know if that's New Jersey,
and that is what Miss Vincent is. It is an American band that was born in the UK, essentially.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do
you agree, Laurie?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you just, I did kind of wonder where you were going with this whole New Jersey pizza thing, but then because you said it's, yeah, to make the analogy of it being an American thing but created in the UK, yeah, I mean that's pretty much hitting the nail on the head. So
all right. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
I would be.
I'd want to be something that flies, but I'd want to be something that flies that no one fucks with.
Eagle. If you're in the US.
Yeah.
Maybe that then. How long do they live?
I don't know.
Let's
10,
look it up.
15? 15 years is my guess.
Surely they must.
I'd be a cat.
A cat?
15 and 20 years.
There you go.
Oh, that seems really bad. I don't know why. I would have just expected an eagle to live longer than that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in the lifespan, so I'm changing my answer.
Okay.
I would, if I could be an animal, it would definitely be a cat.
Mm-hmm.
You basically go outside when you wanna. You fucking get fed. You sleep 18 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Nobody expects you to be nice all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, people kind of expect you to be a bit of an asshole sometimes. And when you are nice, you get treated like a fucking god.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's almost like you have bestowed the gift of friendliness upon your loyal subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So being a cat sounds pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Laurie?
that does sound pretty good, but I think I would either want to be something that can fly like an eagle if it just lived a bit longer, or I'd want to be something that could go like to the very bottom of the ocean. Just basically, I want, because a cat, like, that does sound pretty good, you know, sleeping all day. But like, I could sleep if I wanted to. Like, it's, you know, cats, you know, for the most part, have got it pretty good. But cats can't do anything that I can't do. You know, I can eat, I can sleep, I can laze around. Granted, I can't do it 18 hours of every day.
Well, you could.
Like,
if you quit your job,
you really
your house, you know.
But yeah, maybe I'd either say an eagle, just so that I could fly, or just, I don't know, just some gross sea creature that can go right to the bottom of the ocean, just so I could to see what's down there.
All right, fair enough.
Perfect. So if
you guys aren't getting out of this. What would you be?
Oh, I haven't thought of this one.
I don't fucking know. A dog. A dog. Because I wasn't really a dog person until I started dating my partner, and they're super into dogs, and they really made me a dog person now. So I guess I'll be a dog.
I didn't know you weren't a dog. You have a dog.
Well, I mean, like, I was like you say to me, like, dogs or cats, I'd be like, dogs. But, like, I didn't really, like, give a shit either way. And now, like, I'll drive past a dog and be like, look, that was a dog! Like, and I'll be in my car by myself. So, like, that's what I mean when I've become a dog person.
Okay.
I have always been a cat person. I don't, because I've had a cat, or I've always had a cat, apart from, like, a 2-year gap in my life. I've always had a cat. And I don't see me ever owning a dog. But every time I drive past a dog, I'm like, dog, there's a dog.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
a dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we point, like me and my girlfriend will point at the dog and we'll make noises to emulate the sound of the dog walking and just like.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be a dog too. There you go. Yeah. I don't know what breed.
Copying me?
But... No. Oh my god. Oh, I was a dog person first. Thank you. So if anything, you're copying me. Anyways, so if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Fuck. Oh man.
Uh-huh.
Just one?
Just one.
Yeah, just one.
I would say John Mayer, which is Alex is not gonna be surprised in the slightest that I've said that. I would say John Mayer, which is because he's my favorite guitarist, but he's really good at talking, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but like any interview I've seen with him, he's I mean, if you look at old interviews, he's kind of a dick. Like if you look at the interviews from when he's in his 20s, but yeah, you know, he's just kind of your, you know, typical
the Jennifer Aniston era.
Yeah, like he's your kind of typical arrogant rock star at that point, where he's kind of you know, loves the smell of his own shit and is just kind of full of himself.
Yeah.
But I think since doing the whole dickhead rock star thing, he kind of went away for some time, and I think he's managed to kind of you know, cast that persona aside. And but if you know any kind of recent interviews with him, he's just really kind of he just speaks really well, like whatever it is you're talking, like, you know, whether it's like watches or music or whatever it is he's talking about, he speak like I could listen to him talk about anything because he just, you know, speaks really well. But I think he would just be, aside from the fact that I like his music and would like to meet him and everything like that, I think he would just be a very interesting person to have lunch with, because there are some people who you know, whether it's people in bands I like or actors or whatever, like I think there's some people that you'd have lunch with and you'd be like, well, yeah, it's cool because I met this person. But I think there's a lot of famous people who are probably fucking boring, you know, because it's like, you know, like I'm not saying this guy in particular, but let's say you go out to lunch with Tom Holland. Tom Holland is not Spider-Man. He's Tom Holland. Like he, you know, granted, I'm not saying he's
a
boring,
lovely dude.
but, oh yeah, that's what I'm just giving him. I'm not saying he is boring. I'm just as an example, like, you know, if you're
Tom, if you're listening, hit me up. We'll go to lunch. Fuck lunch.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. You're welcome on the podcast, Tom.
You know, if you're a fan of Tom Holland, you're probably a fan of Tom Holland because of Spider-Man. So then when you go out to lunch with him, he's not going to be doing backflips and like fucking shooting web and whatever. He's just going to be sat there like eating a salad, like, hi.
He'll be like, I really love my girlfriend, and I'm also Spider-Man sometimes. Like,
and
that's all I know about the dude.
Wow, that's it.
But yeah,
okay, so Glory and me are going to go out for lunch with Tom Holland, and you guys can go fuck yourselves.
There you go. Yeah.
That's fine. And then if it turns out he's fucking boring, I can say I told you so.
Exactly.
He's definitely not boring.
No, he's not. He's not.
So I'm going to give you two answers, just because I'm going to go with one alive and one dead. Okay. The dead one would be Johnny Cash, because, like, I mean, that would just be fucking awesome. Like, you know how you're saying John Mayer talks really well? Like, every interview I've ever seen with Johnny Cash is just like, it's like poetry, you know? The dude could just fucking read the phone book and I'd be like, yeah, this is like the Bible to me, you know? Like, I've read a couple of books about him. I've read his autobiography. I've listened to so much of his music. You know, he's not like, you know, a saint, but at the same time, he like always found his way back from being that kind of jilted rock star, you know, like he just led an incredible life. And yeah, man, I fucking love that guy. And the alive one would, it would definitely be Bruce Springsteen. I mean, can you just fucking imagine going for lunch with Springsteen? I mean, the guy got done for DUI a couple of years ago in New Jersey. I was just like, when I heard about that, I was like, yeah, I mean, that is bad, but also it's Springsteen in New Jersey. Doesn't he? He's like the king of New Jersey. I mean, that's like, if God came down to earth and he'd probably just be Springsteen in New Jersey because, like, it's Springsteen in New Jersey. Like, I'm not excusing drink driving. That is absolutely not what I'm doing. But at the same time, it's just like, he's Springsteen in New Jersey, man. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
you so should move here because you are like New Jersey through and through, man. Like New Jersey pizza. You're a Springsteen fan. Like, that's basically what goes on here.
That's all.
I'm a Back Sunday fan. I'm a fucking Misfits fan. I'm a My Chemical Romance fan. Dude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you basically live here, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So for this last question, boom, you're on Desert Island. You can bring one movie, one person, and one album. Who and what are you bringing?
One album, one person, and one movie.
Can I bring a trilogy? Can I bring one trilogy?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, if I can bring a trilogy, it would be Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's gonna last you a while.
Yeah, the obviously the extended Lord of the Rings.
Oh, of course.
Because then I've got like 12 hours of movie. If that's a cop out, if I just had to bring a singular movie, then it would be The Shawshank Redemption. Because like I said earlier, favorite movie. The person would just be my girlfriend because, of course. And the album, I really don't know. What this I fucking like. This isn't against you guys. I fucking hate this question now because of it's because I used to be. I mean, I guess I still am, but it's just a weird thing to talk about. Like, I used to be a huge Brand New fan. They were like my number one. Like, they were like my most favorite band by a long way. And anytime someone was like, oh, what's your favorite band or favorite record or whatever, without even having to think, I would just be like, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. That was my favorite record, and I thought it was the best record ever. But since all that stuff came out about Jesse Lacey, like, I still listen to them very rarely, but the listening experience is just not the same anymore. Without going into talking about like the what he did or anything like that, it's just, it obviously it just kind of fucks up. I mean, I imagine there are thousands and thousands of people who just don't listen to Brand New anymore, who were like, die hard, hardcore fans. So that, if you go back, 5 years, that would have been my answer. Like, without thinking, I would have just been like, Lord of the Rings, Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, my girlfriend. That would have been those three things. But now that whole thing has happened with Brand New, like I said, don't listen to that often. And it's weird because I now don't know what I would say is my favorite record anymore, because it isn't that. But nothing has really kind of taken that obvious top spot for me.
Fair enough.
That's fair. That sucks. I'm sorry.
I would say, yeah, I mean, that does suck. I mean, can you, like, I can't imagine that happening to one of my favorite artists. I mean, the Ramones are all dead, so that's never going to happen, so that's fine. But like, I just, if anything ever happened to anyone from Green Day or Alkaline Trio or something like that, I would just fucking, obviously it feels a little bit lame being like, wow, about the music when when bands or celebrities or whatever, when people get cancelled for doing shitty things, it's like, obviously really it's whoever's been affected by the shitty thing are the sort of more, the most important people in that scenario. But at the same time, when someone does do something shitty, then it obviously does, if they've got, creative artwork that's in the public eye, it obviously does affect I mean, I'm so fucking glad I never got a Brand New tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't have any tattoos, but for years I've always said, like, if ever I were to get something, it probably would have been some like, you know, a piece of the artwork from that record or something like that. And I'm just so fucking glad I didn't. And there will be thousands of people that did have brand new tattoos that had to get them covered up or lasered off or whatever, because it's just, you know, hard to kind of think about them in the same way and listen to them in the same way.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been trying to let Laurie talk for a while so I can think of a fucking answer for this, but I'm also going to go with my girlfriend or fiance, but we're getting married in April, but we're going to go straight from girlfriend to wife, because there's nothing worse for me than being like, oh hey, I'm Alex and this is my fiance.
Yeah, that just doesn't like seem like you.
Yeah, we get it. Getting married. Shut up.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah,
Congratulations.
Like, yeah, long overdue. But like, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure she could deal with me on a desert island, which is a massive achievement by her, by the way, because I can be a bit of a fucking nightmare, I'm sure. But so yeah, she'd definitely come with me. In terms of a movie, I'm gonna go for a weird one, and this is gonna take some explaining, but I would take Grease.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that's just a terrible choice.
No, it's not, because
that is a fucking terrible
and here's
choice.
Why?
No.
Okay. Hear him out.
Here's why that's not a terrible choice, right? You're on a desert island, okay? You do not want a movie that is going to make you think too much, or you know, like probably my favorite movie of all time is V for Vendetta, because you know, I just can't get enough of it. But
Grease,
I don't really want to be sitting on a desert island thinking about what.
I just said, but Grease, because you were like, yeah, V for Vendetta is my favorite movie. You know, great cast, great story. You know, some incredible scenes, and it's, you know, based on this amazing book and blah 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 blah. But Grease, because shoo up, shoo wada wada, yippity boom.
Banger.
No, but that's the thing. Like, you know, like I love old movies. Like Casablanca is one of my favorite movies of all time. And you know, like for a couple of years, because like I travel a lot with my other job, and for a couple of years, British Airways had Casablanca on their in-flight entertainment. And I would just watch it every fucking time it was on. And that was like one out of every two flights. Then. No, because the reason that I don't want to take these movies is because you're on a fucking desert island, dude. Like there is nothing. You do not want to think too deep. So what do I want to do? I want to get up and dance. I don't want to fucking think about anything. I just want something that is going to make me like what were you saying? Just say the whole fucking thing again. Yeah, exactly.
Yippity boom boom. Yeah, but yeah, because
there we go.
I know all that fucking bullshit because I was in Greece when I was a teenager at school. Like my school's production of Greece, I was, you know, one of Danny Zuko's, you know, like part of his little gang.
You were part of the T-Birds. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so like, the other thing I need to mention about Grease is obviously there is a lot of misogyny in there, and I'm not like saying that I support misogyny, but at the same time, it's like you can't really watch any old movies without coming across misogyny, sexism. I mean, a lot of racism as well.
Yeah,
like, there is a lot of fucking dubious shit in classic movies. Yeah. So you know, you kind of have to watch it with like, I'm not like probably more than a pinch of salt, maybe like, you know, probably a pound of salt, but at the same time, the songs are great. It's just a fun movie as long as you can look past the fact that Danny Zuko is a fucking asshole. So yeah,
why do you want to take this fucking movie? Like,
because he wants to dance.
I know, but every time you would dance to those songs for a week, and then you just be like, I heavily regret bringing this piece of shit movie.
Can we start a fire so that I can set this fucking thing on fire?
Honestly, man,
I don't want a fucking movie anymore.
By the 10th time you heard the fucking dup, dup, dup,
no, but dude, that's the thing. You watch it every day. You wouldn't be able to watch any movie every day. Like if you watch The Lord of the Rings every day for a week, you'd be fucking sick of it.
I'm just saying,
the
by the
weekend
10th time you
ends.
watch it doesn't matter how often you watch it. By the
Mate, I've watched Grease 100 times. And I'm not
Laurie
sick of
is
it.
living proof and a living example. He did the Grease production. He had to do it every single fucking day. He had to listen to the Shooby Wooby Dooby Doop song every fucking day. And he's warning you to not take this fucking movie on the island, and you're not listening to him.
Of all the fucking movies, there are other movies that have good songs in it. It's just like, oh my god!
I stand by it. I stand by it.
All right.
And the record
is the record gonna? For the record, I feel like you're now gonna take like the fucking Mr. Blobby song or something like that.
No, it's gonna be the Grease soundtrack, mate.
I knew it. Yeah.
No, obviously it's not.
And
It's not.
Lori and Alex, your islands are going to be together, and Alex is going to be standing there going like this to you while he's blasting the Grease soundtrack.
I'm just going to take it's going to be like, we're going to have like a line across the middle of the island, and I'm just going to put my speakers right there and just stand there like fucking flipping him two birds, playing Grease all day, every day. Nah. The record is slightly more difficult. I think it would either be It's Alive by the Ramones, which is a live album from 1977, because it is my favorite Ramones record, and that is not a cop-out, because listening to the Ramones on record is not the same as hearing them live. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very different experience. So, you know, I don't think I'd get sick of that. Or it would be something like epic, like maybe American Idiot by Green Day, or the Black Parade. And maybe not the Black Parade, actually, because that's kind of like a bit of a downer when you're on a desert island.
Yeah.
I think I'd want some more upbeat numbers as well.
Danger Days.
Nah, you see. So
we're gonna go into the fuck Danger Days rant.
No,
not necessarily. Like I'm a recently reformed fuck Danger Days guy. I can appreciate it for what it is now. Like there are some incredible songs on there. Like Save Yourself, I'll Hold Them Back is like
Scarecrow,
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the one that starts Remember Me?
Kids from
What's
Yesterday.
the name of that? No, it's
oh wait,
The Only Hope for Me Is You. That's it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, The Only Hope for Me Is You.
big fan.
And like songs like that, it came out in 2011, whatever. And you know, I was a My Chem purist. I was like, you know, if it's not Bullets or Three Cheers, then you can go and fuck yourselves. Because like I secretly loved the Black Parade, and like I owned a Black Parade jacket while I was at university, and you know, I went to all their fucking shows in the UK, but you know, it was like it wasn't cool to like that album. You know what I mean? Like I was like, nah, it's all about Bullets. And then when Danger Days came out, I was like, I mean, it's all a bit much, really, isn't it, for an emo kid? I'm not really sure what to do with this. But with 11 years of, you know, reflection, I can finally appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, you guys need to tell us what your Desert Island movie, album, and person is as well, because you ain't getting off this lightly, because these are hard questions.
Wish you had flipped the last one back on us too, because I had an answer for that one.
Me too.
This one I don't.
Yeah, you see, that one was easier, so that's why I didn't flip it back. I was like,
well, I'm going to give you an answer anyway. It would be Fred fucking Durst from Limp Bizkit.
God.
Well, we're not going to get him on the podcast, so what the fuck? I'm going to go have lunch.
You better
with him
record
instead.
that lunch. Dude.
Oh God, Desert Island.
Mine would be for the lunch. Either Narwhal. He's an interviewer. He interviews like everybody in like the kind of alternative, but more in the rap and hip hop scene. And he's just interviewed like a lot of my favorite artists. And I just want to pick his brain, and because he interviewed like Nirvana. And it was the coolest thing. It was one of like his first interviews when he was like very early on.
Holy
and it's just
shit.
I just really want to talk to him about that. But Desert Island.
Okay. Person. It would be my partner. Movie. It would be Happy Gilmore.
Grease. Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Great film.
Happy Gilmore is peak cinema. And an album. I don't fucking know. Like,
yeah, the album is so
the
hard
album's
to
got
pick.
me fucked up. Like, because I could
It's
go.
easy to ask these questions, isn't it? It's not
Oh,
so
it's
easy
super.
to answer.
It's super easy to ask them. Like, because I could go with like a Korn record, but would that? But would I get sick of it because I've already listened to them hundreds of times?
10,000
The third
times.
time you hear you just be like, nah, this is not for me anymore.
Like,
This is why I feel like I can't say a trio record, because I feel like they're, if I was going to take a trio record, I'd want like a personally compiled greatest hits or something, because there's, I can't think of one specific trio record where I'm like, oh, I'd take that one.
I
know?
can.
I really can't.
Crimson.
Yeah, but I still, I don't know. I've literally been like looking over at my CD collection while we've been talking, just to see if there's something there that I would take, but I can't. It's such a difficult question.
and like I could go with Bullets because that's my favorite My Chem album, but like even that one gets old. I haven't listened to in a while because I've gotten so sick of it. Or I could go with like a Daft Punk album because those are super long, but like Daft Punk is one of my favorite like groups, but I'm not super into electronic music. So
I've
with all
literally
that
got this. Like, this is just sat right here next to me. So
fucking great album. So with all that being said, I'll go with the Paradigm Shift by Korn.
Okay, that's good.
Nice.
My person would be Bob Ross because he would keep me calm.
And you could paint stuff on the desert island too.
There you go. Exactly. He'd be so nice to just talk to. And my album would I just had it. My album would be Because of the Internet by Childish Gambino, because it is a perfect album. I'm stuck on the movie. That's the hardest one for me. Like you had a problem with album, Shane, but I have a problem with movie because I have so many favorite
You're a big
movies.
movie watcher. I am not.
I am.
Happy Gilmore is like the only movie I've watched in the past 4 years. So,
I don't know. Black Panther. I love that movie. It's very good.
Oh yeah. That's
And the soundtrack, like
soundtrack
that,
bangs,
there you go. That's my second album. It's just already in the movie.
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
So as I said, that is all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
Our record, A Funeral for Youth, it's out now on Silent Cult worldwide. Pick up a record. It is blue and pink, and it is beautiful. And as we've discussed, it has some of the best artwork that you will ever see by Mark DeSalvo. And it has 14 songs on? Yeah, so. 14 songs of melancholic punk rock that will make you laugh, cry, and dance. So listen to that. Come and see us on tour. Touring is kind of up in the air right now because of COVID, but we will get something sorted soon. We've been forward for a few tours. We didn't get them because there was one tour that the opening band is just in a completely different fucking world from us. So, how can you compete with that? But yeah, we will be on tour soon. So come see us, and we'll be releasing those covers soon. So listen to those when they're out. It's pretty much it.
Yeah, did we mention those or not?
Mm-mm.
Now you are.
No.
There you
go.
So yeah. I guess anyone who's already checked out the record, anyone who's waiting on new music, then whenever those covers will be out sometime.
Fair enough.
No idea when at the moment, but yeah, that's kind of, I guess musically that's what's next for us, because we haven't Alex and I very recently had a conversation about album 2, but it was a very kind of brief conversation without without not a lot of detail, and but yeah, that's kind of the next thing that we'll be releasing. I think will be some covers that we've been working on, but they sat, it's just nice to be doing anything, like obviously the record came out last year, but we recorded it such a long time ago now that it's just great. It's been great just to be back in the studio again.
Hell yeah. All right. I hate that you guys brought up the covers and album 2 at the end of an hour and 30-minute interview. At the very end.
Whoops.
Didn't even give us a chance to ask about them. Thank you for now. This guy has been Miss Vincent, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.